So We Are Social's Amy Butterworth is up next. Amy specialises in helping brands build relationships with their fans on social media. She's worked with brands including Volvic, Evian, Tesco, and today she's going to tell us about the work that she and her team have been doing with Volvic UK to radically change the brand's engagement rates on Facebook specifically.
Yep.
Over to you.
Morning, everyone. So, yeah, my name's Amy. I'm from We Are Social. So today, I thought really I'd kind of take it back to basics. I thought we'd talk about kind of how you can actually establish relationships with your Facebook fans specifically. I know, obviously, a lot of you probably are working on different campaigns, and quite often you have clients come to you and they're all talking about the numbers. So they get the numbers, but then what do you do with them? How do you build those relationships? And how do you get people coming back and talking about your brand in other spaces? So as I said, I'm going to talk about Volvic, who are one of our clients who we started actually working with at the beginning of this year. So actually in terms of the journey that we've been on, it's actually been it was right at the beginning of it, but already in that sort of first quarter, and we've been on quite a journey to sort of start looking at who it is we want to start talking to, how we can start engaging people and driving those advocates online. So kind of take you back to beginning of this year. So Volvic's Facebook page, their content. As you can see, it was quite product focused. It was very much about sort of marketing the product itself and putting Volvic bottles in pretty much every single piece of content that went on the Facebook page. Now, I know probably, as I said, I'm talking basics today. I'm hoping most of you know it's probably not the way to go, but we needed to do something about this. We really saw that engagement rates were really, really low because basically fans didn't really resonate, couldn't relate to that content. It really didn't resonate with them at all. As probably a lot of you know, Facebook, it's an interesting platform. I mean, there's been a lot of talk already this morning. We're talking about should brands be on Facebook potentially? Does it work as a marketing tool? Can you build advocates on Facebook? And I think actually Facebook are recognizing this. They're actually asking brands to start delivering content which is more in line with the content you'd see from your friends, rather than kind of that sort of push marketing, which is very much what Volvic were doing. So really, it was really important for us to kind of develop that strategy that really engage with our fans. It would keep them coming back and keep them wanting to talk to Volvic as a brand, talking to them about things on their level, most crucially about things which were relevant to them. I think even sort of the biggest water drinker probably doesn't want to talk about water every single day, and they're not going to come back and carry on driving conversation around it. So how did we do it for Volvic? Well, we realised they had about sort of 70,000 fans on Facebook. We realised there were all these people on there. They were all liking the brand. But we really need to tap into kind of what got them buzzing. What did they actually want to talk about? So what we did is we turned it on its head. Rather than us as kind of marketers and the brand deciding what should go on the Facebook page, we actually asked Volvic fans to take charge. Ooh, and the clicker. Okay, so the search for Team Volcanicity was on. Basically, this was a campaign. We were really keen to find real community managers. We wanted to, technical function. So we basically wanted to find content creators out of our Facebook fans who would really sort of create content that would really resonate with their fans. Which is obviously key to driving advocacy engagement. We thought, who better to create the content for the Facebook page than the fans themselves? So the campaign started with a Facebook competition. The prize, obviously, was to become a member of Team Volcanicity. But what does that mean? Becoming a part of Team Volcanicity would mean, first of all, they'd get their state-of-the-art camera, which was a bit of a hook. But secondly, it was about sort of giving these people the most awesome 2013 they could possibly think of. We wanted to send Team Volcanicity members on adventures up and down the country throughout the whole of this year, so it's already going on at the moment, where they could capture content that was relevant to them, that got them really excited to share to the masses on the Facebook page. But whilst all this was going on, we also reached out to sort of influential bloggers. It was really important to us that we extended that reach, not outside of the Facebook community that we had. We spoke to people who weren't just fans of Facebook, but we also wanted to extend that reach and make sure that there are other people in the sort of digital space that were aware of what Volcanicity was and how they could potentially be involved. So this is a really interesting one. These three bloggers, I think it was Molly that was saying earlier that sometimes quite often brands come to us and say, we want to go and find the biggest, bestest blogger with the biggest reach who's talking to the most people. But actually, for us, that wasn't necessarily the case. We wanted to find some really, really kind of passionate bloggers who are already kind of demonstrating sort of a certain volcanicity on their page and the content that they were producing, and to become part of this campaign. They were kind of the up-and-coming bloggers rather than the people who are already kind of, who've got sort of hundreds of thousands of followers and readers, etc. So we reached out to these guys and basically we sort of established a relationship with them. We found out what kind of things got them excited, what kind of adventures they might want to go on. It wasn't sort of a blanket email to everybody saying, hi, we really want you to join Team Volcanicity, because we knew that wouldn't really cut it. It was really about starting that really personal relationship with them. So kind of in terms of the journey, whilst we were sort of running our competition, these founding members were actually already going on their adventures and creating content to kind of tell that story to our Facebook fans on the page, to bring to life actually that these guys are creating content. You could be a member of Team Volcanicity and join them too. And actually the content that's going to be produced is actually in your guys' hands, the fans, rather than the brands. We also run a whole series of selection days and Google Hangouts with Team Volcanicity potential members. Basically, this was a way of us, again, sort of trying to establish relationships with potential members and being able to really kind of understand their personalities, get to know them, get to understand what got them really excited, what they were passionate about, and whether they were able to sort of create that really great shareable content for the page. I mean, some of them were really, really fun personalities, some really interesting personalities, but it's really about understanding whether we could actually work with them and whether they were going to kind of understand what it is, what their mission was, so they could work with us and get excited about working with us throughout this year. So yeah, we found our team now. So we launched the team probably only 3 or 4 weeks ago now. So we've got our Team Volcanicity. There are 12 of them in total, and then we also have our founding members as well. And they've started going on their trips and adventures around the UK. And what's really important with us, though, is that we nurture these relationships. It's not just about a competition that you run on Facebook. It's actually about finding advocates and building these relationships with these guys. So we run regular Google Hangouts with these guys. And what's really interesting is they're all super, super keen. At first, at the beginning of the campaign, we're thinking, oh, well, you know, are they really going to get excited? But actually, weirdly, yes, they send us photos, probably daily. We get content of them sending photos going, oh, you know, I was just around out and about and I thought this really funny thing, so I took a picture. Could it be used as content? Sometimes it can, sometimes it can't, but it's about us working with them to say that they're able to understand what that content should be on the page and whether it's actually going to work and whether it's going to get the likes, whether it's going to get people talking and excited about it. So that's Team Volcanicity. But I thought what I'd do is just kind of share with you sort of how engagement has changed since we launched. As I said, it's very much in its early days, but since kind of adopting this fan-focused content strategy, engagement really has increased. We have seen lots of more people commenting, liking, sharing on the page. Team Volcanicity themselves are getting involved in the conversation, so it's not just us as Volvic sort of driving that conversation, but actually they're commenting and people know them as personalities as well, so they have that relationship. But crucially, the organic reach of the page has increased by 213%. And I think that's obviously the EdgeRank algorithm that Facebook uses. Because of all those likes and comments, we're actually reaching out to more people. So more people are understanding who Volvic are as a brand and understanding what Volcanicity is. So it's been a real success story so far, but obviously it's at the very, very beginning. So hopefully, you know, maybe I'll be back in a year and be able to update you guys on where we're going. So I thought really, after sort of showing that case study, I mean, I know some of you sort of probably are working on campaigns on a daily basis, but it's quite good for me when I was putting these slides together, just to kind of recap on what are sort of the main pointers, what are the things to think about when you're trying to build relationships and drive advocacy on social media. So I've just put together sort of my top few points to share with you. So very basic, but know your audience. So if you're wanting to build relationships, especially on Facebook, use your Facebook analytics. Look at who actually are you speaking to. I mean, actually one of my other clients, Evian, it's really interesting. They thought they actually had a much younger audience base than they actually do. So they talk about obviously their brand message is live young, but they thought they were talking to sort of students and people up to the age of 30 on Facebook, where actually there's a huge percentage of people who are in their kind of early 40s to sort of 50s. So it's actually really, really important to understand who that target audience is so that you can start establishing content, what content's going to actually resonate with them. be human. Now this sounds like another obvious one, but tone of voice is really, really super important. I think quite often brands feel that they need to have one tone of voice which works across all different channels, but actually it's about looking at how you can be really human on social media, how you can adapt that tone of voice so that you can really kind of start having that kind of chit-chat and being able to make people feel there's a person behind the brand. I mean, people that do it really well are people like Innocent, for example, who have that kind of really chatty, witty tone that get people talking on Facebook and on Twitter and their other channels too. And they kind of change how they talk to people depending on the channel that they're using. Building rapport. So I know a lot of brands can sometimes be a bit guilty of scheduling posts, letting them go live on the Facebook page, and then sometimes not necessarily doing anything with them. But it's really, really important. If you've got your content plan and you know when you're posting an update, it's really important that you've got that community management behind it. So as soon as people start commenting or replying to what you're saying, have a chat back with them, sort of try and build that relationship. For Volvic, for example, it's important for us to have a bit of a laugh and a joke and sort of get them to sort of wanting to come back and share stuff with you. We've even had people start sending us photos of we had one guy the other day send us a picture of his Volvic bottle with his headphones on saying his Volvic's just chilling out to music on a Friday afternoon. And it's really great content that people start producing because they've kind of feel they've got that relationship. They think there's a person behind it and there's going to be someone behind the brand that wants to see that photo and is going to laugh about it and it's going to entertain them, which it did, which was great. And yeah, as I've been saying, make it relevant. Don't just push the products a la Volvic a little while ago. It's really important that whilst obviously your brands are wanting to push their brand messages and they wanting to push their product, probably Facebook especially isn't the place to do that. And then bloggers. So yeah, I think as I touched on earlier, and obviously as I say, Molly was talking about it a little bit earlier on as well, quite often people want to just go and find the biggest and bestest blogger and work with them, but they're not necessarily, that's not necessarily the best tactic. It's about finding which bloggers are the right bloggers for your brand, and actually how are you going to reach out to them. It's not about using them just for the one campaign. Think about your whole year, about the next 5 years, how that blogger might fit into the work that you're going to be doing, and how you can really build that relationship and nurture it in order to sort of build an advocate that you can use throughout sort of the rest of time if you build that really strong relationship with them. And then finally, it's the key one, which I'm sure you're all aware of, being marketers and PR people in the room, but testing and learning. I mean, we are very much on sort of a journey with Volvic at the moment. We haven't stopped. We haven't gone, yeah, hooray, our reach has extended and increased by 200%. We're actually saying, okay, that's really cool, but what next? So it's all about optimizing as you go along. If a piece of content bombs, then go, okay, why did that bomb? And try and work on it and change it from there. And that's it.
Amy?